Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today I bring you another creative video and cosplay transformation, this time from the MMORPG Dungeon Fighter Online. The makers of the game asked me to cosplay one of their brand new Neo Awakening Gunner classes, and I chose the Ranger here because I really dig the costume design and she has some of the coolest attacks in the game. In this video, I will show you how I made the entire Ranger costume as well as her gun blades, and take you through the photo shoot we did as well. But first, let's get to know the sponsor of this video. Dungeon Fighter Online is a 2D MMORPG. Don't be fooled by its retro-style pixel graphics because it's packed with intense multiplayer raids and dungeons. From the gritty fighter class to the devout priest class, there are a variety of classes that branch out to over 60 advancements, so you're bound to find the perfect character to suit your playstyle. Join the worldwide player base and active online community, and you'll never have to take on one of these dungeons by yourself. The best part, Dungeon Fighter Online is free to play. Starting from today, you can enjoy the Summer Festival update, which features special leveling events to help new users to reach max level in no time, and gear up with the best equipment, especially with the new DFO Guide event. And the part I'm the most excited about? The female gunner class will be getting her Neo Awakening update, which gives her access to more powerful abilities and cool designs such as the Ranger here. Now is the perfect time to experience the worldwide phenomenon of Dungeon Fighter Online. Click the link below to join in the fun today, and use the coupon code listed to receive a surprise asset when you play. Back to the show. Be sure to stay until the end for the full costume reveal, and let's check out how I made the Ranger costume. I was able to use a lot of fabrics with different textures and designs from my cosplay stash, as well as the Haori pattern I designed from McCall Patterns. The first garment piece I made was the red sleeveless vest top, which is a red knit with maroon taffeta lining. I cut out each layer and sewed the seams together, then tailored the garment to fit by taking in the seams and adding darts. I then laid the two layers on top of each other and pinned all around the edges. Afterward, I sewed through both layers around the perimeter of the top. This is not a typical way to install lining, but since the entire top is edged with a black trim, I was able to encase the raw hem with a Hong Kong style binding. This is my favorite way to finish seams on costumes. I used the 4-way stretch pleather from my Cosplay Fabrics line for the binding. Next, I installed the collar band using the same fabric. I love the contrast between the knit and pleather. The Ranger actually wears a teal top under the red one, but in order not to overheat under so many layers, I cheated and just made an extra flap to go underneath. I opted for this pretty peacock brocade for some added texture. The top has no visible closures, so I hand sewed on 5 sets of snaps. And voila! I'm really happy with the look and fit of this cute vest. The black jacket is my favorite part of the Ranger's costume design. It is so stylish and effortless. I decided to use the reptile moleskin from my Cosplay Fabrics line, which not only looks luxurious but is also ultra soft to the touch. To achieve a stiffer drape, I ironed a very lightweight inner facing to the jacket pieces, then sewed them together. Check out how nicely the jacket hangs already. Next, it was time to sew the lining to the jacket. I used the traditional method this time, right sides together and sewing through the layers. Then I flipped the garment right side out and top stitched around the hem for a nice clean finish. I'm truly obsessed with the moleskin's texture and how nice the red lining pops against it. It is so cute. The Ranger has a fancy belt, and I got to use a couple of different brocades from my Cosplay Fabrics line. The gold and black for the wide belt, and a teal and gold for the hanging sashes. I always iron delicate fabrics with a see-through pressing cloth, and I cannot recommend them enough. Some ironing and edge binding later, the costume is coming along nicely. This next part of the costume required 2 days of hand sewing. I picked this cosplay partially because I love the gorgeous rose appliques, and ideally, if I had had more time, I would have stitched out the roses on my embroidery machine with water-soluble stabilizer and made my own appliques. But to meet the deadline, I opted to buy various applique pieces on Etsy and cut them up in order to create my own designs. You'll notice that the appliques are not all the same shade of gold. But there's an easy fix. I simply painted the pieces with Jacquard brand Lumiere Gold acrylic paint. It is one of my favorite paints for cosplay because it sticks to almost everything and looks super nice. Once the paint was dry, I started figuring out where to place which appliques on the collar band of the jacket. It was doing like a very pretty puzzle. Puzzling stances included. Once I was happy with the placement, I pinned everything down and went about hand stitching on each applique for the rest of the day. I actually really enjoyed doing repetitive handwork like this. After the collar band was fully blinged out, I pinned down the shoulder appliques and continued my hand sewing marathon. Once all the roses and little sleeve tassels were sewn on, the jacket was done. The pants were next on my agenda, for which I used a brand new fabric called the Mini Rubber Geometric Print from my fabric line. I mean, just check out that pattern. After stitching the main seams together, I pinned the appliques directly onto the pants while wearing them to get the best placement. Then I hand sewed the gold roses on. Now let's check out the wig. I started with a lace front wavy bob with pretty good reviews on Amazon. The first step was to straighten the fibers with a flat iron heated to 300 degrees. Once the wig was silky smooth, I heated and backcombed the top sections to create more volume. Then I carefully trimmed it into a shorter bob. The last step was to heat the tips and curve them in. I hired my friend Hoku Props to 3D model the few fine accessories on the Ranger, like the demon belt buckle and sash charms. He printed them in resin and even added a blue LED light in the round charm. All I had to do was wet sand the resin, airbrush the covers, and assemble the charm. The belt buckle and coin were also airbrushed gold, and I did a black acrylic wash to make the lines stand out really nice. I ordered a bunch of tassels online and picked through my bead stash to put the sash together. I made sure the round charm can be opened to get to the LED light switch, and did a lot of hand sewing to recreate the unique sash design for the Ranger. The last step was to pin and sew 2 pleather straps to hold the many resin bullets we prepared. When it came to the Ranger's gun blades, I only had one goal in mind: make them as lightweight as possible. I enlisted the help of my friend Jessie to vectorize the gun blade design into multiple easy-to-assemble layers, as seen here in different color codes. I chose EVA foam from my cosplay line as the main material because of how lightweight it is. Then we set up my full spectrum laser cutter to cut out the layers in 10mm, 5mm, and 2mm foam. We also cut a center layer of balsam wood for additional stability. Of course, all these materials can be cut by hand, but given the intricate curves and lines of the gun blades, I was grateful to have access to a laser cutter. The great advantage of having precisely cut pieces was that I was able to simply layer them on top of each other for a perfect fit. I heated up scraps of the thermoplastic Worbla and wrapped the soft balsam wood center at the most fragile points, such as the chain connector ring and the trigger guard. Worbla is a great stabilizing material for props and armor. Then came time to glue the main components together. I used super glue to bond 10mm foam on either side of the wood center. The blades required 5mm foam on either side of the wood center. Before I continued the assembling, I shaved down the edges of the blade with my Dremel 3000 tool. It's supposed to be a knife after all. Next, I glued on the gun barrel, which is just a large EVA foam dowel cut down to size. I used barge cement to bond foam to foam. Whenever you do sanding or work with industrial glue, be sure to work in a well-ventilated area and wear eye protection and a respirator. Once the main components were assembled, I simply glued the blade into the channel I left open in the gun, also using barge cement. The result is a prop that weighs mere ounces. Brian kindly helped me prime the gun blades with Plasti-Dip. He laid on 5 layers between 30 minutes of wait time, and we let everything dry overnight. We also got 15 feet of plastic chain and painted them a hammered gunmetal color. With the gun blades primed, I taped off the appropriate areas and airbrushed the props. Metallic gunmetal gray on the blades, gold on the gun grips, and red on the barrels. Then came time to apply the vinyl stickers. Jessie created the vector files and Bep Cosplays kindly cut them out on her Cricut. I trimmed around the edges of the stickers and placed the vinyl designs on the gun blades. I smoothed them down with a rubber roller and carefully removed the clear top layer. What is left are perfect rose motifs. After applying all the vinyl stickers on both gun blades, I airbrushed a clear top coat to seal in the paint. That funnel there is an air filter that sucks out the airbrush overspray. With this, the gun blades and my ranger costume are ready for battle. As for the ranger photo shoot, the forecast called for rain in Atlanta for an entire week starting that day. So I got up at 4 in the morning to get out to the location, and we shot until about 11, and the rain hit 5 minutes later. But we got it, so I present to you Dungeon Fighter Ranger. I really enjoyed making this Gunner Class Ranger costume, especially using all these fun brocades and textured fabrics and doing all the applique designs. For safety reasons, I couldn't swing the gun blades around too much during the photo shoot, but this cosplay totally gives me full range of movement, and I look forward to taking it to lots of cons. Thank you so much again to Dungeon Fighter Online for entrusting me with the Ranger character. I hope you will check out the game and take advantage of that surprise coupon code. A huge shout out to Hoku Props for 3D modeling and printing the resin accessories for the Ranger. Thank you also to Jessie for vectorizing the gun blades for me, Bep Cosplays for cutting out the vinyl stickers, and to Fanservice Renji for helping me edit portions of this video. And as always, thank you Brian for patiently taking my cosplay photos. I've linked everyone below, so check out more of their work in the video description. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. This type of video takes a long time to make, so I really appreciate your support. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Ranger costume and what kind of creative video you'd like to see next. Until next time, happy crafting!